So, when was the last time that you created a space for your body to show its true colors of energy? When was that? Do you remember? And that means you kind of remove your stimulants, your coffee, or anything else that you're drinking, or even your alcohol at the end of the night to calm down, or remove the foods that you kind of know they aren't great for you, but you eat anyway because they taste good. The taste is so wonderful. But you kind of feel that this is normally not the greatest thing, or maybe you eat kind of late at night, and that's not good for you. But anyway, look, I'm so inspired by this liver flush that I finished. So I've done liver flushes before. I talked about this on my podcast, and it's a great process. Yet, I've been postponing this flush since June last year. I know it's freaking insane. And wow, 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 wow. This is probably, I don't know, maybe my best flush yet. Maybe the first one or comparable to the first one years ago. And I'm so, excited about it that I thought I would come down over here and share with you a little bit more experience. By the way, I'm Maria. I am your friend Maria here from bfabbu.com, health and wellness coach. And this flush has been tremendous awakening again because, yes, I'm a wellness coach and I eat very decent. I barely touch alcohol and have good behaviors, yet I have my little flaws, okay? Nobody's perfect. I'm not one of them. I'm not claiming that. So I know that my energy, based on some testing that I done about a year and change ago, is not the best. My cortisol is fairly low, and I do this testing for my own clients as well. And I've been kind of, neglecting to take the time to even implement a protocol for myself. Yes, that happens to us coaches too, okay? I keep pushing through like everybody else. And that's why sometimes it's good to have a coach to help you kind of lead the way. So, getting back to it, I notice more and more that I've been drinking more coffee. And look, let me tell you, I don't drink any coffee. I drink a freaking expensive coffee. And I'm going to show you here. This is the coffee that I drink, okay? It's expensive. It is one of the cleanest coffees out there. It's mold-free, chemical-free, whatever, whatever. It's 18 bucks for a bag of 12 ounces and all that. And that's what I normally drink. It's expensive, but it's okay. I'm investing. So if I'm going to drink caffeine, I'm going to drink the good caffeine. But once in a while, I have coffee here and there. Not it's kind of my coffee or my clean coffee. And coffees, most caffeine have about 500 chemicals in it. And you know what? We're already inundated by chemicals. So these chemicals, those toxins, actually, they become, sometimes quite a bit for our body. Now you're going to say the liver is really supposed to clean all these toxins, Maria. Yes, you're correct about that. Now, our body is still, old times body. It's not, it wasn't created to deal with this much toxins that we've had over the years, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. Very different story, right? So we have toxins from foods now. We have toxins, a lot more toxins in the water. We have toxins in drugs, alcohol. We have toxins in, birth control pills, antibiotics, and food sensitivities. It goes on and on and on and on. And we oftentimes don't realize that. It's just we keep going through life without pay attention. So a little bit of here, a little bit of there, and becomes quite a bit. So I like to do this liver flushes to kind of reset, but I have been postponing. So here we go. So I started this process. It's a whole process. If you'd like to learn more about it, reach out. I can explain to you. I followed the protocol that my peer Isabel does, and is great. And using it requires a set of kind of a supplementation. There is obviously diet changes. But in a nutshell, I haven't eaten animal protein for at least 10 days. Fats I haven't eaten since Monday or Sunday. And the flush night was on Tuesday night. So since then, I've been eating very little. And let me tell you that this has been great because I've been seeing an energy out of a bed that I haven't noticed in a long time. My ritual, since I was basically can remember as a person, is waking up and making coffee. When I woke up as a kid, I would always see mom making the coffee and all that. And in Brazil, every office had a little coffee machine. And here in the US, the coffees are like this big. I don't drink this big. But anyway, to the point here is that I have this energy that is true to my body that is so beautiful to discover. And by the way, I also been working out. I didn't stop working out. I worked out also on Monday. I didn't work out on Tuesday because that's not recommended on the day of the flush. I worked out on Wednesday. I scaled everything, but I was moving and all that. Felt great afterwards. I worked out on Thursday and I feel even better. And today there's no food, no nothing, just water, and I still have eaten very little, just have some juices and things like that. I'm slowly kind of steady, getting back to my normal. I'm just continue to give my body this release and feeling, just observing how I'm feeling. And it is beautiful. It is beautiful. So, I just wanted to tell you and ask you, I guess before I tell you, is to ask you, when was the last time that you trusted your body to do its thing? Our cells are programmed to do its best. Yet, we inundate ourselves with things that really don't need. And we kind of live such a stressful life that those things also don't help our bodies. We barely get proper sleep, or most people don't. We're very dehydrated, right? 75% of the American population is dehydrated. And there is so many other things we can talk about health and wellness, but when was the last time that you said, you know what, I'm going to remove those things and I'm going to see how I truly feel, so then I can take care of my body. I can feel my body what it needs. And let me tell you, again, my surprise is because I wasn't feeling the greatest energized battery puppy that I am, that's kind of funny, you know, in a while, but I guess it's because I was putting stimulants on it. Now that it's all gone, I'm feeling great. I'm kind of like, oh man, I want to continue to feel this way. So how I'm going to continue to feel this way? Part of this flush is a reset button. It's a reset that is going to say, okay, you know what I was doing that was not really serving me well. Let me tell you, I'm going to go on with this no caffeine for as long as I can. It was beautiful this morning, again, to wake up, open my eyes, and I have this energy, and I start doing things immediately. Didn't even have to stop, or go downstairs and make my little coffee and take the extra time. No, I start doing stuff, which I love to do stuff, and I know that you like to do stuff too. Accomplish. I like that sense of accomplishment, and it's kind of really awesome to feel this way. And feeling even better after my workout. Doing front squats, doing burpees, doing deadlifts. That's what my workout today. So, let's give our body what it needs. Sometimes it's space. Like declutter. Let's declutter like we like to declutter our houses so we don't feel so stressed out. The same thing is happening inside the body. Let's create this space to declutter. And if you don't know how, look, I'm here to help you. Reach out. A liver flush is not something that I would recommend for everybody, right? But the concept is to declutter the body, to create this space, to identify who we are. And then we can start putting and fueling it back to what it is, right? So a few things that I really want to kind of continue these healthy habits and things like that. One is I want to go without this caffeine as long as I can. And by the way, yeah, I drink black coffee is a stimulant, right? So I'm going to go as long as I can, to the point that I can have a cup of coffee, not because I feel like I need, but really because I want to go and smell the coffee. I love the smell of coffee in the morning, okay? And have my time and treasure that. So that's one. Number two is because of my side gigs on the weekends, sometimes I tend to eat late. And I got in the behavior of eating late. Look, that is a recipe for disaster, okay? When you eat late, yes, I'm eating, but I'm walking and walking and walking, so I'm burning some of that, but it's still, the body's not, is not made to continue to work after 8 o'clock. We got to shut this thing down, right? Let's get our hormones reset. Let's get our organs reset. Prepare for the next day. Let's do a 12-hour fast minimum until next day. So, I have not been eating late. It has been great. Wake up still with good energy again. I'm doing what the body needs to do well. So I'm going to go back to that. The other thing is that I felt myself doing more and more often is, I was very, very addicted to sugar and cheese. I used to eat piles of cheese. I would get the Gouda cheese, like I would buy at Costco, like this big. I would get in front of TV. When I watched TV back then, would get a knife and I would just pop that baby. I could eat half of that Gouda cheese. All right. And I always would have cheese. I noticed that at this side gig, I also sometimes get slices of cheese and I start eating and I know I don't feel good doing that. It tastes so good. It's addictive. It is addictive. So I'm like, you know what? I don't need this crap. Literally, I don't need this crap that doesn't do well for myself. And the dairy period doesn't do well for myself. And, I said, well, let's here and there. No, it's no good. All right. If I want to do cheese, then stick with the goat cheese. Or what I found at Costco, which is actually ship's milk feta cheese, organic ship's milk feta cheese. I do very well on that. It's small amounts in my salad. Anyway, so those are my commitments, and I'm very pumped. The one thing that I have to be careful about is that I have the tendency sometimes to overeat animal protein because, I think, I'm drawn to it. And I operate well with it, but I know that I was doing a little too much. I got to go back to start measuring my, amounts of animal protein. I used to do that when I started my health journey, 10 years ago. I did that for a few years, and then I stopped measuring. 3 to 4 ounces, that's good enough, per meal. And, it's important. Protein is important. It's also important the quality of the animal protein. Grass-fed fish, wild-caught meats, and fish, and pasture-raised eggs. Certain things I'm always go by the quality of the animal protein, but I can overeat sometimes. That's not good. It's very toxic. So gotta kind of moderate those kind of things. So other than that, my leafy green vegetables, my smoothies, my chia porridge, and all good. By the way, one last thing I want to share with you is this. My colon hydrotherapist, this afternoon, I just came from there. She could see what I was eating. I know. Colon hydrotherapy is part of a liver flush as well, if you have access to it. And when I went in there today, I knew she was going to see a certain thing. So she could see, coming through my colon. Yes, you can have the visual of that. You see your poop coming through. And she says, "Do you eat chia seeds?" And I said, "Yep, yesterday." And my chia porridge, by the way, I'll show you over here. I brought some. There you go. That's a good way. It's full of, plant-based protein that I have in there. I had some blueberries. I had some hemp seeds, and I have a few other things in here. Okay, to give some good taste, and is a great nutritious kind of meal, and it's kind of a liquid. Obviously, the chia seeds, you're not going to break it down, but you can pulse sometimes to make it even smaller. But this is kind of a good entry kind of food, back in. Not a ton of it, but she could see, I can see the little seeds coming through. The other thing that she saw was my pulp of the grapefruit. So part of the cleanse on the night of the flush, you drink a little concussion. I know sounds disgusting, but it's actually not disgusting at all. Is about 3/4 of a cup of the pulp of grapefruit, organic grapefruit, with a half a cup of olive oil, extra virgin olive. You mix all that, and you're going to actually drink that through a kind of a straw. Is better, glass straw. So it's not inundating your whole mouth, just before you go to bed. And you have your castor oil pack and all that. There is a whole ritual. Again, that thing tastes good. But, yesterday what I did is I was eating the leftovers of that. So I took the juice of that, grapefruit, and then I put that aside. I saved that. And yesterday I was eating the pulp left. And then I had a whole new grapefruit that I didn't use. I ate that too. I knew she was going to see that today. What I did do well is I chew my apple very well, very careful. Yum, 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 yum. So she couldn't see that because in the past she's like, "Maria, you got to chew the food better." Look, I'm telling my clients all to chew their food. Sometimes I eat too fast too. So anyway, I'm being more conscious over here. Chew, chew, chew. We didn't see any of the apple in there. So anyway, folks, I just want to, offer you the space for you to think, when was the last time that you created space for your body to show its true energy? And if you're afraid of doing that, that's okay. That's okay to experiment. And also, it's a sign. So let's stop masking, our energy and our symptoms with whatever stimulants or foods or alcohol or beverages, whatever, for this, right? So let's give the space for the body to do it. And obviously, if you want any guidance, if you have any questions about it, I'm here to answer. So, put a comment. I'll be glad to answer when I have a few minutes over here, and I can share more information about it. But I hope that you take this, if you finish this, listening to this, that you are actually inspired by the fact that our cells want to do their best job. We just need to fuel them, or sometimes actually to not fuel at all. Remove all this stuff, that are creating potential imbalances in our body, and allow the body to do its thing. So have a wonderful day, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.